Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again. I am here to review South Park post-COVID. And now, first off, I know with a lot of things that have been coming out recently, it's become like a typical complaint that you don't want to buy the new streaming service. You don't want to, have to pay for another thing. And I understand, and I would recommend that you go search up South Park post-COVID on YouTube if you haven't seen it yet, because there's a free version on YouTube that someone posted. And, if you can find it another way, I would encourage you to find it that way. You shouldn't have to pay for another streaming service, and I think it's retarded. So, I mean, come on, like this show just keeps on moving around like it's the slutty show. Like everyone's just passing South Park around and having their way with her, and then and so I'm here to review it. I just watched it and it was pretty good. It reminded me of I don't know. It was more serious than anything. Like it was more straightforward, serious, and the story was good, but I don't necessarily think it's like the funniest thing ever. Like a lot of the times when South Park episodes have these really over-involved stories where they're really complicated, they're really complex, they have a lot of, not really that complex, obviously, but just in comparison to other South Park episodes, which, they can be very simple or very straightforward. This was very plot heavy and not that comedy heavy. It still was pretty funny throughout the whole thing, and I still would say that it was pretty good. The vaccination special was terrible. It was a disaster, and I would never watch it again. The pandemic special was pretty good as well. I would say that still, though, the pandemic special is the best one out of these three, but I really did like seeing this one too. So I would rank them if I had to rank these specials so far, these COVID specials. I would say the best one is Pandemic Special, and then the second best is this, and then the third best is a shitty vaccination special. So that's how I would rank them. And I would say that it was really the feeling that I left after watching this special was sort of like a bizarre feeling. Like I've never felt so like about a South Park episode. Like it was so not in like a bad way, but just in like a, this was a nightmaristic future. What a horrible ass future this looks like. I would never want to exist in this type of gross, fake, corporatized world. So it's a very like cynical view of the future. It's a very mean-spirited view of the future, of just like the typical trademarks, and I like that because it's better than being so like bubbly and happy and excited about the future, like in Back to the Future 2, where they have the nice looking cafe, and they have the shark thing, the shark movie pop-up ad, and they made the future in Back to the Future 2 look kind of nice, like they had the shoes that tied themselves and stuff like that. But in this future, it's like the complete opposite. It's like the Biff Tannen future, and it's all thanks to something or someone or some people, I don't know. That's what the whole episode is about, because, well, I'm not going to spoil it because this is non-spoiler right now. But, I honestly, the thing that I always wonder when doing these TV reviews is who would watch a TV episode review before watching the episode? Like, when you watch a TV episode, that's when you want to go listen to a TV review, because you want to discuss everything about what you just saw, and you want to, react to all those highlight or shitty moments. You don't want to watch a review and then go, okay, I'm going to go watch an episode now. At least that's not what I would ever do. But anyways, this show is all about how Kenny died, and that it's 40 years after COVID, and all the kids reunite in South Park to mourn for Kenny and to discover what he wanted to reveal about the pandemic, about what really started it, or how it got bad, and how it got to this horrible nightmare future. Probably some of the funniest jokes were like just the outcomes of people that we saw in the old show. Technically, like the old show, like as in 40 years ago from this episode. Like it was hilarious seeing Cartman and his outcome. That was really funny. That was probably like one of the best things about the episode. And then the woke comedian Jimmy, he's doing the shitty woke comedy, and it's basically just him complimenting, and it's like the worst comedy I've ever seen, but it was so bad that it was good. Like, at least it's better than that shit that like people like Amy Schumer do. Like with the gross. Like it's still terrible, but it is better than some of the stuff that I've seen. It's still terrible. It's so bad. But I thought that was one of the highlights, and then there were some other things sprinkled around here and there. But as I said, this episode was very plot forward instead of like just focusing on the jokes of everything. And I appreciated that because I liked the plot. I did think that there were some parts that dragged, and particularly near the last 10 minutes. Like before the big stuff happens at the end, there's this section that kind of like really drags on. Like it really feels like, is this necessary? And I didn't like that. Or it just could have been written better, I guess. Like it was a little like slow at that part, and it was like, is it really worth it? Is it really that worth it? There should be some more jokes here instead of this like straightforward plot that sort of feels like a movie. And I guess it is kind of a movie in a way. They said that they got like this special deal where they had all these movies and seasons announced, and I don't know if this counts or not, because it felt like a movie. But there was this really, really sort of unnecessary plot that involved Clyde and all these other people who weren't the main three kids left. And that was the worst part of the episode, because it just felt so tacked on and so unnecessary, and it just made me want to like cut all that out. Like, I know that it was necessary in terms of some of the stuff in it had to happen for other stuff to happen, but honestly, if I wrote this episode, I would have just cut all that stuff out, because I just wanted to focus on the main three. And okay, so I'm going to rate it now. Overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It wasn't the greatest episode in the world. Honestly, I just kind of wish that the episodes would be like they used to be. Like, this reminds me of, like, if you guys watch The Angry Video Game Nerd, how, like, the new episodes feel versus the old episodes. Like, I kind of wish it would just be the old episodes again. And I know that's not going to happen for a while, though, so it's really upsetting. Everyone's upset about it. I mean, the pandemic is bad, but this is bad, too. I mean, we had this Tegrity Farm storyline, and no one liked that, basically. There were a lot of people who liked it, but then there were a lot who didn't like it. And now we have this, like, COVID storyline, and it's like, I kind of wish I could just go back and watch, like, the Warcraft episode, have episodes like that are like really funny and really smart and well written, but I would give this episode like a B. If I could describe it in one sentence, I would say that it reminded me a lot of It Chapter 2. Like, it's straight up did. Spoiler alert. I mean, the plot is basically straight out of It Chapter 2, where you have all the kids reunite in their childhood town to fight evil, or to learn what the evil is. The evil is themselves, which I thought that was a nice twist, because a lot of people, they were worried. They said they wanted the kids to get back together, and they didn't like this whole thing where they're splitting apart. And I agree. And so I think that it was a really cool way that they wrote for them to get back together, because they're going to have to go back in time now, along with Kenny, because that's what Kenny did. He went back in time. But it really did remind me of It Chapter 2, the way that they all go back to their old town and they all meet up together in a restaurant. And, they've all got to confront the evil together. Like, it really did. It was weird. It's like, this should have been aired on Halloween, honestly. Because the future was scary. It was gross. It was creepy. It just, everything felt so fake and dystopian. Like, you had this Shady Acres nursing home. And it was really funny. They had this Asian video that just kept playing over and over again in all these billboards and backgrounds, and that was another funny running joke in the episode. But the nursing home, that it was basically like a prison, and this stuff, I know that all of it was supposed to be like really funny, but to me it just kind of made me feel really uncomfortable, like seeing this. Like, this is just ugh. And you know what else I think? I think that in the next part, because there is definitely going to be a continuation to this, because the whole episode is just building up to continuing for another special, spoiler alert, and I think that all of these jokes are going to have payoffs. Excuse me, sorry. So, like, all these things that were set up in this episode, they're all going to have comedic payoffs in the next special. And so if stuff wasn't that funny in this part, maybe it'll be even really funny in the second part, because you'll have like the opposite. You'll have everything be reversed or something like that. I don't know. But I can't wait to see what happens, because it definitely made me excited for the next episode. And I'll say that wasn't something that the pandemic special or the vaccination special did, or the last season even. Honestly, just watching this show, it hasn't been that fun. It's just been fun to get the views and to get the interaction with people. But the show really hasn't been that great lately. It just kind of feels like it's on its last leg, or it's kind of like The Walking Dead in a way. The way it's just keep walking on. But I think that, though, that it should last forever, and that it could get good again. It's just that right now it feels like it's in a slump. And although we could have good and bad things about these episodes, like we could have all the good things that we want to say, it still isn't that great compared to the old episodes, compared to the ones where, they're just in South Park. They're these kids in South Park. They're going through these things in South Park. Like, this was weird. This was bizarre. It was like an alternate reality. It was like this show was like a real dramatic show, and this was like the season finale of something, and they actually aged the whole show. Like, it was really weird. But it was still funny, definitely with Cartman and his wife and kids, the way that he has like a son who acts exactly like him. I think that's pretty cool. That was definitely the best part of the whole episode, the way that he's a rabbi now and he has a Jewish wife named Yentl. I mean, that's fucking hilarious. And honestly, as we would expect, like what he did with Scott Tenorman and his parents, that this would all be a joke, like a really cruel joke, like the cruelest joke to end all cruel jokes. But it was not a joke at all. He literally changed as for now. In the next part, it could be made into a really cruel joke. And I kind of hope it does, because since he changed, like, I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to see adult him revert back to being how he was. Because they already did the storyline where he changed. They had him and that nice girl, whatever her name was, that girl who they got together and they had that whole boyfriend girlfriend storyline, and she made him change, and then at the end it was revealed that he didn't change and he was annoyed the whole time, and then he turned her into a version of himself, and they were such a great couple, honestly. Like, that is probably one of the best couples in South Park history. Like, seriously. So what if he turned her into him? Like, that happens sometimes. It's a real, like, creepy thing. I've seen so many couples, especially the people whom I went to high school with, and they look exactly like each other. Like, it's really creepy. They look like brother and sister. It's really gross. But it happens, and so I think that I kind of wish she would go back with her, honestly. But I really like that storyline with him. The thing that I didn't like, too, is I didn't like Stan. Because Stan, really, he was the one who changed for the worst. Like, he's gotten terrible now. He's got Alexa for his wife, which I thought that was pretty cool, because that's something that I could definitely see happening. Especially with feminism, the way that it's gotten nowadays. I could definitely see people like Stan getting with Alexa instead of getting with a real Alexa. But he's really gotten bad. So I can't wait to see them all redeem themselves in the next part. I did like Kyle, though. Like, I've never really liked Kyle that much at all, but I liked him a lot in this. So maybe in the next episode he'll get bad again. I don't know. But as I was saying, the only thing I really didn't like was that B storyline with all the side kids and that were locked up in the school. Because it was funny at first, the way that they all had to get locked up in their elementary school, and you have all these B characters who are, maybe it'll be really funny, but it never really gets funny at all. I mean, it's really just them discriminating against Clyde because he never got vaccinated, and it's kind of like, ugh, it's like, that's what people are like in real life, the way that they discriminate against people. But it was funny. Some, like the shellfish joke, that was funny. I liked that. That was pretty smart. But everything else, it was just kind of meh. Like, it's like, are they going to play a bigger part in the next episode? Or is this going to be like Jen, or was her name Jen in Back to the Future 2? The way that, like, she gets taken to the future and then she just faints and falls asleep the whole future. Like, that's what I feel like these people are like. They're just so useless, and like they're just sitting around kind of like fighting with each other. They're not really that important to the story. And I also like seeing Randy. A lot of people just have found him annoying. They found the whole Integrity Farm storyline annoying. I thought that he was fine, and I thought that it was cool that he's sort of going to be the hero now again, and so we'll see what happens. This was pretty good. It's like a B. I think it's a B minus or a B. It needs more comedy than anything, because this was so plot heavy that it kind of emphasized the plot and didn't emphasize the comedy of everything. Happy Thanksgiving. I can't believe, did I do this last year too? I mean, every Thanksgiving I'm going to be reviewing South Park from now on. Please like this video, comment, tell me what you thought about South Park. the post-COVID special. And did you get Paramount Plus? And then please subscribe to our channel for more South Park reviews in the future. I don't know why I took this so seriously. It's just, I don't know. It's better, and I'll say this too. This one episode is better than a lot of episodes of TV I've seen this year. Like, I've been watching Chucky season 1, and this episode alone is better than like every episode of Chucky. So I'll applaud them for that. So goodbye, everybody. See you soon.